North New South Wales stretches wide. Beaches, forests, farmlands, and country towns. Communities here are diverse, sometimes separated by long distances. But again and again, people step forward in faith, creating new ways to serve, to reach, and to love. It's the story of ordinary people taking part in an extraordinary mission.
What does mission look like in your context? For the church in North New South Wales, mission is lived out in many ways. Sometimes simply by sharing a sandwich. For us, church is not about programs or buildings. It's about everyday missionaries. It's about ordinary people living each day with extraordinary faith in their work, in their neighbourhoods, in their classrooms, in their community, in their churches. They're not theologians and they're not evangelists. They're everyday people who said yes to God.
Mission is a very daily decision that we make. I think it's less about doing something specific and more about the decisions that we make, the people that we interact with and how we treat them.
It's all about serving others, learning to see other people as God sees them.
Is working with those people through their problems, serving the community in any way that we can.
I get to be a part of someone else's story, and when they get to meet Jesus.
Mission for me is being in the community. I guess through the events that we've been running so far, like the skate park events, the community dinners, the trivia nights. Social media online has been a big part of our mission now because we're reaching a far greater people than what we were just through face-to-face. We made a video out of some skate park stuff that we had. When we first put that online, nearly 2,000 views for this little video that we put together with a mobile phone sitting at the skate park. And it was in that moment that I realised, man, there is something in this. So before they sort of knew what we were doing, but now it's all over Facebook, it's all over Instagram, and they know that we're not just people that's sitting inside a building, but we're always out there too. And then they go to those events or they go to the things that were advertised.
Currently for me, mission is predominantly focused here at Blue Hills College. There's very much a mission focus here at school because a lot of our kids aren't from Christian backgrounds. I get to actually pray with them. I have scripture verses up in my classroom. I get to read the Bible with them. We run breakfast clubs here, which is another excellent opportunity to, in a very practical sense, be able to minister to our kids. On my day off, which is on the Wednesday, I actually volunteer at the church to help with some of the admin side of the church and also to help organise some of the outreach programs that we've been running there. I think of all the mission that I get to be involved in, the one that I'm most passionate about is being able to actually go overseas on mission as well. And I had the opportunity to actually lead Mission Trip, which was an amazing opportunity for me.
I see our first mission field is with our family. We started a prayer meeting group that we run every Thursday, and that's been going for around about the 2.5 year mark. My dad was sick at the time, so we started a prayer meeting, started praying for Dad, and this started at the hospital, but then it moved into our home. That grew from 8 to 10 to 15 to 20, all the way up to near 50 odd people coming. Some of these people are not comfortable coming to church, and so this is the closest thing they would have to coming to church. And just recently, my wife, she's been inspired to start a women's ministry.
We started with 8 people, and now this is the 3rd week we've got 15 Indigenous women.
The mission field that I have found myself in, that I found myself really fulfilled taking part in, is actually just investing in young people. And the two things that come to mind, first is our monthly Friday night program that we have called Fireside. So we invite a whole bunch of kids from the community come and join us on the university campus. We had no idea how many people were going to show up. It ended up having 300 young people. So that's been a really massive blessing in my life, and something that I've seen God turn from just an idea that we had in our dorm rooms to something that is now a regularly occurring event. More recently, we put out some feelers to see whether or not some of the local high school kids that attend our church would be keen to do some Bible studies. And initially the idea was that it was just going to be me and a friend running it for a few of the girls that were keen. And as always, God took something that was very small and turned it into what is now a 2 days a week Bible study for any of the high school kids in the area. And we have about 50 kids that come every week, and a whole massive team of uni student leaders that run all these different groups for kids of different ages.
When young people step out in faith, they help build a church alive with energy, hope, and mission through literature and prayers shared from door to door, and in spaces where they learn to grow in courage, service, and discipleship. The next generation is discovering they too can live on mission, and each step they take is shaping tomorrow's church, because mission is transformative.
I wouldn't say that I've ever been committed to mission. You know, I would say that for most of my life was all about me and what I can get out of other people and what I can do for myself. And even growing up in the church as a kid, I don't think I really understood what mission was. I was one of those kids that just hanged out at the skate park, and that eventuated into choice of wrong friends, choice of habits, into a point where I got myself into this life that I couldn't get out of. People used to say I was the dead man walking, you know, I wasn't well, you know, they could see that.
God was not in the picture. Our family grew up in the church and was taught about Christ and the Adventist faith through our grandmother. She had passed away in 2016. So after her passing, our family fell away from church activity, and during that time, you know, our family wasn't doing well. At that time, I was in prison in 2016.
I've spent the last 20 odd years teaching down in Melbourne, and very happy in the Pentecostal church, within my comfort zone. I was just content going to church on Sunday, going home again, ticking the box, and it was done.
I'd say that I've always been very committed to church, but I definitely think, especially when I was a kid and younger, I was more committed to coming to church because I got to see friends and be a part of a wider community, and also for the worship experience, less about a willingness just to serve. And I think flipping that on its head and realising that, no, I actually want to come to church to serve others, not only to be a part of this community, but also to actively give back to it, that's been the best realisation that I think I've had. It's revolutionised my church experience.
Being involved in mission, so after I got baptised, to then have that focus of being able to serve gave me a sense of purpose within the church. So I wasn't just coming to church and sitting on the pew on Sabbath and then going home again, and that was my entire involvement. It was, this is the community, this is our family, and this is what we do, and we're all focused, moving in the one direction.
My grandmother said to our family, when I give my life to Christ, then the family will come back to church and get closer to God, and that's what happened. 2019 was my turning point, when I was released from prison, so we're continuing on that where my grandmother left off.
It wasn't until I realised that God could fix me that it all happened. It was from that moment onwards that I wanted to share that God that had done that for me with anyone that I could.
Transformation doesn't stop with individuals. It overflows into communities. Through practical acts of compassion in times of disaster, serving those in need. Whether through a meal, a safe place, or a helping hand after the storm, the love of Jesus is made visible. And that same love keeps calling us to step out and serve, because God doesn't wait for the perfect. He works through ordinary people right where they are.
But God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called.
I'm a widow with 3 kids that has a love for God. I'm not a pastor, I'm not anyone special. I'm just a regular person that is doing what I believe God is calling me to do to the best of my ability.
I'm a very shy person. I usually hide behind my husband.
My highest learning was year 9. I couldn't read and write. I had nothing. But here I am now changing other people's lives because God has changed my life, and God is willing to work in my life and my wife's life and our children and our family to help others.
If you just step out in faith, then God can use you where you're at with what you've got to reach the people around you. So if you're willing to step out and tap someone on the shoulder and say, I care about you, then you're going to make a difference in that person's life.
And God will still use you in a mighty way.
I think when I shifted my understanding of mission from I need to block out a month of my time to go on a mission trip, which I have done and I've found so much value and benefit in, to I can use any waiting in line opportunity or any time that I'm sitting down at lunch to actually have a conversation with somebody. That made my understanding of my potential influence for mission just expand massively. Suddenly, instead of viewing myself as someone who had no time for mission, I was viewing every little pocket of time as something that I could use to be missional in some capacity.
If we truly believe that Christ is coming back soon, how can I sit in church on Sabbath and go, I'm content with just sitting here? One of my biggest concerns is to get to that last day when Christ comes back, and to have some of my friends turn to me and say, you knew that Christ was coming back. Why did you not tell us? I want to be able to genuinely stand before Christ and say, I did absolutely everything I could to help these people.
When mission becomes a way of life, it flows into every corner of the church. From raising funds that launch new frontline projects to broadcasting good news across the airwaves every day, and even caring for the elderly. Each act of service is part of one mission. Ordinary people using what they have to share Jesus in creative and faithful ways.
Mission for me is life-changing.
Building communities with a community.
Mission for me is joy.
Helping others, helping my people, helping my family, getting that closer relationship with Jesus.
Mission is getting up in the morning and going, God, what is it that you want me to do today?
This is who we are, a family of believers scattered across the coastline, the rivers, and the wide country towns of North New South Wales, gathered in churches and companies, finding strength in community, planting new communities of faith, fresh expressions of God's kingdom, and celebrating new life through baptism as people choose to follow Jesus. We are ordinary people, united by an extraordinary mission.
God's mission is always moving forward. And as we look ahead, I believe He's calling us to so much more. To grow beyond simply attending church once a week, and to become true disciples that live out the gospel commission every single day. For our pastors, this means shifting from operating as managers to living out as missionaries, focusing on equipping members and pioneering new ways to reach those in the community. We also want to create new support structures, mentors to walk alongside our pastors, and our pastors equipping our elders and local leaders for mission. And we'll also open new pathways for mission, providing resources and opportunities for pastors and disciples to step into bold, creative approaches to share the everlasting gospel with their communities. Because in the end, mission isn't about titles. It's not about programs or buildings. It's about disciples making disciples, sharing Jesus in the simplest, most effective ways.